What makes you human is the ability to feel the full range of human emotions and identify that range of emotions in other people. That's what truly makes you human. That's what we teach our young ones because they're learning how to become human. And that means emotional regulation, that means being able to mirror, that means to be able to feel the emotions that other people feel. The problem with ideologies like fascism and stuff is that you end up projecting and dissociating away from natural human emotions other than resentment and rage and victimization and stuff. You don't feel true joy. You're not able to laugh at things and stuff. Like it's a very human thing to be able to laugh at your own pain, for example. That to me that's a very spiritual thing. Like I have a whole page in my notebook about how laughter charges the soul, about how to laugh at your own pain, because there's a deep empathy that comes from that. Like if you look at stand-up comics like Richard Pryor, for example, or George Carlin, for example, or even Dave Chappelle, they're trying to cancel him, but he's always a dark comic who was able to laugh at his own pain. But there's a deep empathy that comes from there, and there's a difference between being able to laugh with someone and laughing at someone. And knowing that difference, the nuance between that, knowing that difference is one of the things that marks the human experience and stuff. Like fascists want to be able to laugh at someone. They're not laughing with you. That's why they don't like it when you call them weird. Like that was a whole major bipartisan support against calling the Republicans weird for whatever reason and stuff. That whole election was shady. The past 5 elections that I've been a part of have been shady as fuck. But that's just because this country the pendulum alternates between crypto fascism and open fascism in this country. But, you have to connect with people on a human level. Like I was just watching a video, Better a Pig Than a Fascist, and it really zeroed in on what made the AI generated slop. It's because it doesn't have aura. It doesn't have that fundamental human quality about it that allows you to connect with how other people feel about the things that they see and experience and talk about and discuss. I have a cosmic level empathy, and it makes me kind of like a Jedi. Like when I was in the mental hospital, I was just vibing, and one of the guys was like, you remind me of Yoda. And that really was a feather in my cap. That was before I wrote my first book, because it was like I was getting all the ideas together in my head and stuff, and just being traumatized, but converting that trauma into something that I could feel joyful about. And it's like, yeah, I could totally see it. I could see that I have a very wise but empathetic attitude. I'm rather mysterious and esoteric. People think I'm crazy, but I'm actually one of the smartest people around. Yeah, I could totally see it. I'm like Yoda, because Yoda is a very like Star Wars is a very human endeavor and stuff. It was an allegory for the rise of fascism. It was an allegory for spirituality in a sci-fi world, and all of that stuff kind of combines into this sort of, I don't know, this mythology that humans have this mythos around us. Like I've talked about it before, we have this mythos around us, and it's very important for us to connect to our emotions. We have to develop our emotional intelligence, and that's critical. Day by day, you need to work on your emotional intelligence. You need to work on being able to resonate with how people feel and how to express yourself in a way that's emotionally regulated and stuff. And we all have to deal with trauma, so you can't use your trauma as an excuse. Do not use your trauma or your disabilities as an excuse to lash out at people or to break things or to be generally destructive, because we need to build together. We need to get to work building together. The time for destruction is over. The time to build is now.